I think we're good. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to RISD's MFA open house. You're here for the printmaking session. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tyanna, the program director for grad. And just one thing, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A box. You can put your questions in. We'll start answering questions towards the end of at the end of the program. All right. I'll turn it over to you, Tyanna. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank everyone for being here today. And I want to thank Mitchell and Ava. Ava is a first year in the graduate program here at RISD, and Mitchell's in the second year. So we'll hear from them directly in a little bit. For now, I was going to go over a nice overview of the program and hopefully get a nice comprehensive perspective virtually. So the MFA printmaking program is focuses on technical mastery, conceptual development, and interdisciplinary practices. And currently, the program houses a community of 7 second year and 7 first year grads. So total of 14. And we definitely foster collaboration and growth through the cohorts. The curriculum is a 2-year program, and it does require 66 total credits. But within those credits, we actually are very open to grads moving beyond our department. And so we only have 6, as far as requirements, you have 6 core printmaking courses, which includes a written thesis course. Also, we have 3 required seminar courses, but those seminar courses can be taken at Brown University or they can be taken across the campus. And then there's 7 electives. And so you get to see the movement and how you get to move out beyond. So we try not to have a very strict curriculum that locks you in. And just an overview. So we have one course that is basically the capstone and also the beginning course that is, I would say, the through line course that takes you through the entire 2 years of your experience in the MFA printmaking program. And that course is our graduate printmaking course that goes up to level 4, because that's when you and when you get to 4, that's when you are graduating and you're working on your thesis. So the historical context is the first year's curriculum. It begins with a focus on historical influences that have shaped printmaking practices, providing students with the foundational understanding necessary for advanced techniques. This part's important because not every graduate who comes to printmaking comes in with a very robust printmaking experience, and that is okay. A lot of our grads come in with the love of printmaking. They've done it. They work with images in such a way that they really want to have printmaking be the conversation they would like to have as an artist. So we really push that. And so we start out with the historical conversation. And then when you get to, and also a part of this is students engage with hands-on experiences. So we make sure we have courses. Some people really like the courses and they dive into lithography or intaglio. And some people like a little bit more independent focus. And so we try to give both spaces. And then when you get to your third and what is that, like this part 3 and 4, you really get to focus on your thesis. And that's when you start to pick up more advanced, complex themes in your work. And there is an exhibition that is provided with a thesis, a written thesis, and also an artist book, and which really kind of just rounds out the entire time of your 2 years. And now let's take a look at facilities. So we have specialized studios and labs. So the printmaking, we do have some of the best technology and also spaces to work within. And we do this all in a collaborative environment, which for printmakers, we know that's just a part of who we are, the collaborative aspect and working around in front of people. So Benson Hall, our precious Benson Hall, this is where is our primary host building. This is where you will find lithography, intaglio, screen printing, relief, our digital equipment. We have a flex space that's basically critique and sometimes a digital. And then we have junior and senior studio spaces housed in this building, faculty and staff offices, and then we have an on-site senior academic technologist. And what's unique and amazing about RISD printmaking is that we have our own dedicated building. So it is a building dedicated just for printmaking, and that is very rare. And so I like to, hey, it's just this thing. And take you to the intaglio studio. We have three intaglio presses, facilities for large-scale aquatint, etching areas for copper and zinc, still-facing tank, large aquatint box, spray paint booth for spray paint aquatinting, large plate jump cutter, and dryer for additioning. And so we definitely have the historic processes that we keep around. And also really consider the more um, I would say, non-traditional processes or other ways of working with the medium. So the intaglio studio is equipped with advanced tools for dry point, collograph, etching, mezzotint, engraving, and photopolymer plates. Students engage in hands-on learning, and also so students, grads will come in and they will like, I want to master this thing. You can do that. If you go, I don't know much about this thing, but I would like to experiment. Okay, you could do that. And so we have all the modes covered. So just some photos of and then also, oh, my image didn't pop up. What's missing there is just the image of the tank. And so the system you can see and just there's that. And now we're on to lithography and relief. Now, lithography is situated in its own space, but we also utilize the presses for relief, just like we do with the intaglio presses. So we have in lithography, there's 5 lithography presses. They all have their own special names. We have large scale graining sink, 4 levigators, 8 Tockage composition rollers. I think I forgot to put the word rollers in there, and over 100 lithostones of various sizes, which is also pretty impressive. And I'm just gonna keep to the next thing. And also, this is students looking at a relief print they're working on. That's one of the names of the prints. One of our former professors, Cornelia, named the print, so that was Tinkerbell. And so yeah, so we will sometimes use these presses for the relief. We can use the intaglio presses, so they're interchangeable. So screen printing. So located on the 3rd floor, top floor of the building of Benson. We have 12 vacuum tables, 2 washout sinks, a pressure washer, large scale 1-arm squeegee printing vacuum table, large scale fabric and paper printing table, and large scale exposing unit. So this space fosters creativity and collaboration where students engage in color layering techniques, working together to bring their artistic visions to life. And I say all those spaces you find yourself working with each other, whether you're working independently or not. And I think the working together is keeping the space nice for each other. I think about that. That's collaboration. And also just more shots of the space and then the washout room. I caught her on the day where it was just pretty bears, usually jumping in all of the rooms, but to catch it on the day. We also have letterpress. And so letterpress is not housed in Benson. It's actually right across the street. And in the building that houses also painting, but it has a space that's dedicated just for letterpress. And we have the traditional letterpress techniques, and it features the traditional equipment and allows students to explore your concept and craftsmanship through tactile printing. And lastly, paper making, that's in the area of the Benson Hall area. And then we'll talk about the graduate space in just a minute. But the papermaking studio offers students the opportunity to create unique handmade papers, integrating traditional techniques with innovative approaches to their printmaking projects. I feel like papermaking is literally like the wine of everything. It pairs well. So everyone's working in paper, whether they ever did it or not. At some point, it comes into the practice. And then we have the tech lab. And so our tech lab is kind of spruced throughout. There's different ways that you can but we definitely have a large format Epson printer, which is awesome. And we have Mac computers, we have access to computers and 2 flatbed scanners, the Xerox printer, we have an amazing laser cutter, and then we do have ways to prep and get your transparencies for digital output. And this is things we're always updating. I think technology is super important for printmakers and for artists in general. So we're always thinking about what else can we be adding. So the tech lab is ongoing. It's just some images of the laser cutter, the Epson printer. And so now we're going to hop over to Fletcher. Fletcher Building is actually 10 minutes away walking from Benson. So this is where our graduate students are housed, and it's most of the graduate students at RISD in general. So what you'll find there is a wood shop in the basement. So you have access to a wood shop. graduate only studio and critique spaces, and then there's a print lab, like a digital lab as well. So I think if anything, and Mitchell and Ava talk about this, like you have to decide, okay, which space am I going to utilize more? Okay, well, I put this over here, but I got to grab it. So everybody's trying to figure out. The issue is they have space, they have options, and I'm like, that's a great issue to have. Is that you have to figure out where am I going to put my stuff? Where am I going? So people usually house it in both spaces in some way. So in the CIT, what also is very unique about RISD's printmaking program is that the grads have a personalized space that is separated from Benson Hall. Benson Hall houses courses or interdisciplinary courses or cross-disciplinary where we're housing students from all over the campus, which is amazing, but it can get busy, and grads are here for 2 years and they got work to do. And so they need a space that's just their own, and it is shared between the printmaking grads and the textile grads. And so it houses screen print, table and exposure unit and washout sink, intaglio, litho, and relief. So you can do this. Basically, we condensed what's in Benson Hall down to this space. That's just a little, see the press. And then right outside the door is the wood shop. So it's really great because you have quick access to things like if you're building structures and thinking in that way. And so exhibitions every year, every 2 years, we have every department shows has an exhibition every 2 years. And so the great thing is, so if you're in a 2 year program, if you don't have a show your first year, you'll have it your second year. So it's before you graduate, you'll get to have a show that's just for the printmaking grads, which is pretty awesome. And in this case, this is where the grads come together and talk about how we want to put our show together, how do we want to make it work. And it's 100% up to grads. I would say our program is very I would I believe in autonomy. Like you guys, they're adults, they know what you want. So it's like, okay, this is your moment to really put those skills to use. And maybe if you've never helped or never put up a show before, curated a show, this is a really great opportunity for that. So here's some images from the show and some highlights. And I would say printmaking is pretty popular. So every time we have any shows or anything, I mean, we get a great, amazing group of people that come out to support. And the school is in general is very good at supporting every department, every area, which is awesome. So we can talk about the MFA thesis exhibition. This is the crown jewel of your entire experience and the end of the thing that you're like, okay, I did all this work. Now it's going to go to this thing. And so this is the MFA. This is from 2 years ago, and I'll go to some recent MFA. So if you see, when you look at the work, what you're going to see is that it's traditional, it's non-traditional, it's disciplinary, it's mixed media, it's a lot of things, and that's the beauty of being of printmaking and what we encourage. We encourage for the grads to come in and think about ways to really push their practice. And we have artists doing video, we have artists literally screen printed directly on the wall. We have some performance, and there's a video with the performance of the work and the chair that was handmade and also cut and then printed, and literally building a space in the space. And also speaking of the Epson printer, here's another great use for the Epson printer and printing out on materials that you can attach to the wall. Some of our recent grads. And here's some paper making, some work with intaglio, some carpentry, like all of it. And so you get to see the really great variety, also paper making. You get to see some really great variety from the printmaking area, I think. And I think that's one of the best things about our program is it's very it's interdisciplinary, but we're also not pushing an agenda, and we want it to be up to the grad. Just show some little highlights here. And also like thinking about I think chemistry, I think some of the grads found themselves becoming scientists and figuring out ways to make things develop or sensor if somebody walked past, how could things show up or disappear? And just a little bit more. And because of our grads are coming in with so many different backgrounds, we have photography, we have graphic design, we have, a doctor, there's so much. I think that also just really amplifies the work because we're saying bring in all of your experiences. Another amazing highlight of RISD in general is the museum and their print archives. And our grads take really good advantage of the space and spending time looking at prints and looking at the history. Like how often are you able to like go to a place and like look at the print that you've been seeing on a screen since you were a child or seen in a book? Like, oh, I get to see it in person and really look at those techniques from back then and feel a kinship to printmaking. And then another thing that we're actually going to be bringing back that kind of was down because of COVID, and now we're talking about bringing it back in the next year is our RISD Editions program, which actually would be more of a course, which is awesome, where we bring in, we pick and the grads help choose which artists would you want to help make a print with, and then they make a print on site, and they keep some of theirs, we keep some, when we sell them, we go to conferences. It's all just like a print club would do, but we house it within our structure of our curriculum, which is pretty cool. And so just looking at some past, so we have a huge archive of prints from artists from all over, which is pretty awesome. And we're excited to bring that back. Especially when grads think about people they want to work with and like, oh, well, let's bring them here. Okay. And that's a great way to also move through networking. Just a couple more highlights. And then here's just visiting artists. Visiting artists is a huge part of our curriculum. It's a part of bringing other people in from outside. And I love the idea of we make sure we focus on diversity and diversity in work, in practice. And when you think about it in that way, it's diverse in all ways. So just some highlights of artists that have come. And then more recently, Latoya Hobbs came. And so this list is also created by the grads for the most part. The grads give them space to choose who they want to bring in and work with them. And a lot of times the visiting artists come in and do studio visits, they do a talk. And it's a great just to give it like a nice there's a great way to talk about networking and all these things. So just a little, we love our tap room where we do a lot of our lectures. And some artists come and they'll bring actual prints like um, like Leslie Dogood did here. And again, we have diverse artists coming. We have sculptors, performance artists, printmakers. And so we think a bit broadly about the medium. And I think some of the impact is visiting artists create opportunities for professional networking and growth. I think that's one thing, but also it's good to get outside of your own head and you think like, oh, this is hard and like maybe I can't do it. And then you meet a visiting artist who's like, no, you can, and I did it. And they're like, oh, okay. So it really helps. And faculty can only do so much. So it's good for us to constantly bring out other voices and keep the energy flowing with that. And then one of the questions I get from potential grads is, what's the culture like? And I'm like, excellent question, because you never want to go anywhere and the culture it's not matching your energy. So we gotta talk about this. So one of the things we do is we take a spring trip to New York with the grads and we visit museums, print shops, galleries. And it's also a great way for networking opportunities. We have a lot of alumni who are situated throughout New York and the East Coast. So it's good to get our grads out of, Rhode Island's 3.5 hours from, New York. It's easy to not go. It feels close, but also feels far away. So it's one of the things that we make sure we do. And also, we have also the grads have their own, they'll figure out ways to have a community within themselves, within the cohort, and throw each other, potlucks or dinners and invite everyone. And you also have the community as a whole. You'll see Mitchell a lot. Sorry, Mitchell, but Mitchell's here. But where the grads they put together an amazing, and also Fia, who just graduated, put together this amazing exchange portfolio, a portfolio exchange in a lot of with undergrad and grad. I think it's a great place to figure out your leadership skills and work on them while you're here. And then there's Dominique, our current grad. We have this amazing event where they bring alumni and family and friends to RISD, and it's a craft fair. But because of Benson Hall is situated right in the the alleyway of all of this happening, of course, printmaking has to be involved. And so we attract a lot of people by coming to do these hands-on workshops that our grads and undergrads decided to do. And so we just make sure we cultivate that. And this is also, we have people coming in to look at some work from the sale. So the cultivating community is never just in our building. We don't do it in a silo. We do it around like in every space. So we think about the greater RISD community, and this was Priyanka did a workshop where people got to make monotypes, and it's all for free. And so just thinking about that and how you could come to RISD and be an asset of how, what do I want to offer, and we want to give you that space. So of course, alumni outcomes, career paths, jobs in the field. We have grads who go off and work at Crown Press, Pace Prints. It's literally whatever you want. Like you think about what do you want, and we can help you get there. Do you want to teach? You have people at Brown, Mass Art. We have some alumni who come through RISD and just they'll come through and they'll go off to the next thing. And then we have grads who are going to different residencies, and some are, I just want to be an artist and make art. Maybe I want to go into a different field. So it's so interesting to watch our alumni and see how great they are at navigating so many different spaces. Um, and I believe that's it. So I just want to make sure we have time for Mitchell and Ava. Also, this is AI trying to figure out how to screen print, and it can't figure it out. So that's just have to throw that in there. Um, and I think what we could do now, and we can maybe should we open up for questions? I'm gonna stop to share. Open up for questions, or maybe you guys can jump in. Let me just see. What questions do we have? Oh, we don't have any. Okay. So you guys could, I would love for because Ava, you are new. And also follow us on Instagram. Maybe it would be great if you could just talk about maybe why you chose RISD printmaking, and since you're in your end of your first semester, how's it been for you? And then we'll talk to Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you. I came from a background that was not in art full time. So I think this first semester has been a really big adjustment to all of the resources at RISD that Tana just went through. And it's almost like opportunity overload, which is an amazing thing. So I feel like at the end of my first semester, I'm really starting to figure out, okay, what studios am I really excited about? What techniques do I want to focus on? Do I want to lean more heavily on a conceptual path or a technique path, or how are those intermingling? So I feel like it really has taken one semester to kind of get adjusted to the program. But I think, yeah, what Tyanna spoke to of just the incredible opportunities that exist here, it's amazing. And if something feels like not accessible, it's usually an email away, is what it has felt like this first semester. So there is a balance of having all of these different studios and resources, but also figuring out how to be your own advocate a little bit too, and kind of work towards, okay, I now know these 3 faculty members that I'd love to work with. I'm going to send those emails. So yeah, I'll pause there and let Mitchell jump in.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I agree with everything that you just said. And I think that really here at RISD, the world is your oyster. I think that there's so many opportunities, like you said, and it's really, you're able to kind of mold your experience to what you want it to be, right? And I think to Tyanna's point about thinking about leadership and thinking about becoming the leader and the artist that you want to be, there are opportunities to kind of make your mark and really develop projects and independent projects that really interest you, right? Not just in your creative practice, but like Tyanna said, I was able to help organize a print portfolio for the class, the graduating senior class, as well as the grads and faculty. And that's something that I think we're going to continue to do as well as, take on leadership roles at the RISD Museum and also TA both at RISD and at Brown. And so I think that there are options to, whatever avenue you might want to explore in your practice, both personally and professionally, there are ways to make that happen, like Ava said as well. And I think we do have some questions coming in, so would love to maybe tackle those as well too.
Sorry, I'll be the MC. Okay, no, I'm sorry, I didn't see. I see. Oh, there's a great question for you, Mitchell. You see it? It says for Mitchell, is there anything you would do differently in your first year
Mm,
or semester in reflection? Great question.
that's a great question. And I'll definitely pass this over to Ava too, because I'm sure that it's fresh in her mind as well too, coming off the heels of her first semester. I would say that um, just to be really kind to yourself. I think that grad school is a commitment, no matter where you go, whatever you choose to do. And I think that for me, I was out of my undergrad for about 6 years before coming back to grad school. And like Ava, I was coming from a place where I wasn't doing art full time, right? I was working in technology for a while. And so um, kind of the adjustment to becoming a student again was a little bit difficult for me. I think it's a very different mindset from when you're out of school and you're an adult in the real world, coming back into really focusing on your practice and managing your time to both create, but also take classes and also meet new people and take advantage of everything. I would say that I have no regrets. I think that I had a really great experience my first semester, my first year. I would say maybe I would sleep a little bit more and just to make sure to take better care of yourself. And like Tyanna always says, that if you're not doing well, you can't create the art that you want to create, right? And so, really just making sure that you're healthy, both mentally and physically, I would say is maybe something to prioritize, especially if you're thinking about going back to school too. But Ava, I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
I liked what you said about being kind to yourself. I feel like I wanted to get a routine down as soon as I got here. And actually, what I needed this semester was to try out a lot of different routines. And now I kind of know what I want to pull into my second semester. And I just know that it will change constantly as courses change and my work evolves. So be kind to yourself as things change around you.
That's great. And also, I'll do these and I see one in there too, so I'll hop in. It says, is it common to take classes outside of the printmaking department for electives? I can answer that too.
Oh,
Yes.
oh yeah, sure. I can hop into. I didn't know if
Go
you.
ahead, go ahead.
I would say it is pretty common. I think that, like Tyanna had mentioned, a lot of the grads in printmaking, especially, don't just have interest in printmaking, but also in other mediums, right? And so I know that we have a couple of grads who are interested in textiles, who are taking textiles classes for winter session. I'm very interested in like the three-dimensional, so glass as well. And so I'm taking a glass class right now, and I've also taken bookbinding classes in the graphic design department. And so again, back to Ava's point, I think that there are the opportunities and the options to take classes. Sometimes they will require like instructor approval, but usually that is just an email away and just kind of explaining your rationale for taking the course. And I would say that most faculty are willing to work with you if you can present your case and kind of present your interest in a way that will benefit your practice, right? And I think that it's always about thinking about what you again want to do with your time here at RISD is really paramount. But yeah, I'll open it up to other responses too.
Yeah, I think part of that question was taking undergrad courses as well. And a lot of the electives can be combined, undergrad and grad. And that's actually been an awesome experience. I feel like the undergrads have some tenacity behind what they're learning that has been fun to kind of feel that way again about learning things with a new set of eyes. So I think that combination of grad, undergrad combined electives are actually a strength of RISD in general.
Yeah.
And then actually one point that I just wanted to also make is that also as a graduate student, you are able to concentrate in specific things as well. So for example, I'm concentrating in the theory of history and art and design, the THAD department. And so while those often aren't studio classes, you do have the option to take more humanities, liberal arts-based courses as well, especially if you're interested or your practice deals a lot with like historical context or referencing history or science. There are classes here that you can do that. And there is the opportunity to also cross-list at Brown. So if you wanted to take classes at Brown, like if there was a philosophy course, for example, that might not be offered at RISD, you are able to take courses at Brown as well too. Yeah.
Great question so far. And someone said, wondering what Ava and Mitchell's goals are for their MFA. Oh, that's a hard one.
I guess I can go first. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think that for me, Coming from a background where I wasn't doing art full time, I really wanted to kind of shift my career and shift maybe the trajectory of like where my life was going to go. And I really envisioned myself going perhaps into like academia. I really do want to teach at a collegiate level eventually, whether that be printmaking or just visual art in general. But I am also exploring the opportunities such as residencies and really just further developing my practice. I think that I'm sure Ava can attest to this too, but you know, even though the program is 2 years long, 2 years really doesn't feel like a long time. And so there's just so much that I feel like I'm just scratching the surface with, and the MFA is just kind of like the beginning, I think, for a lot of us. And so, yeah, long story short, I think I would like to go into teaching, but open to other opportunities as well. Um,
I have a really similar answer as Mitchell's, especially coming from a different career and shifting into the art world. Also interested in teaching and kind of in general feeling like I have a practice I'm excited to apply to residencies with and be more of an artist in the world. I think also I'm really interested in gaining skills for collaborating outside of the art world as well. I'm really interested in partnering with some of the science departments at Brown. And so I think I'm here also to kind of gain skill sets to take for collaborations in the future.
Yeah. And I'm gonna jump to this bottom one and then I'll go back up. It just says for someone coming in without a printmaking background, is there a big learning curve? And I think you guys already hit on that a little bit, but if you want to expound a little bit, you can.
I feel like our very first grad course, that is just the first year cohort, does a great job of kind of introducing some printmaking basics. And then because the cohorts are 7 people for each year, there's a lot of room for people to say, all of this terminology and all of these skills are new to me. I would love to schedule kind of a one-on-one demo or other people interested in this demo. And I've watched a lot of cohort members kind of do an ad hoc intaglio workshop every Thursday afternoon. So I think there are ways for students who have less experience in printmaking to get excited about the various studios and work towards gaining skill sets in those studios, especially in the first semester, before they might want to sign up for kind of a full commitment of a semester-long course in that area. So I think it's a really welcoming program for people who don't have a lot of printmaking experience.
Yeah, and there's a question, it's a really good question because it says I was curious to hear about TA opportunities, which I can cover that in a minute, and then within the program, also more about sorry, I don't know what just happened. Also more about how RISD fosters community with other printmakers outside of the program. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So the first half, TA opportunities, couple things. All the grads at RISD get um, assistantships throughout the entire 2 years. So it depends on your department. In printmaking, we have assistantships for being a TA, which is you're working with another faculty member while they're teaching their course and you're helping them. We also have an opportunity for you to be a co-Instagram manager, which is, somebody got to run it. And then we have someone doing the archives because we have some actual, tangible things from 1972 that needs to be archived and digitized. And then we have in the CIT shop in the Fletcher building, we'll need somebody to help manage that space because Benson is a whole job. And so that space sometimes could get neglected if there wasn't. So we have grads to take care of that space. They do an excellent job. So as far as teaching, if you want to be the instructor of record, we do have grads teach if they're choosing in the winter session. So because we have winter session, that's a 5-week session. All of our grads opt to do it, which is pretty awesome. Maybe 1 out of 7 is like, no, I can't do that, but I can do something else, which is so amazing. And then our you can apply to do a self-design course. So you could teach courses either within a printmaking curriculum that's already there, or you can co-teach and create a course with someone. So we've had our grads do a lot of that. And then as far as the community with other printmakers, there is a local print shop in town that a lot of our grads either work in or work. I remember one of our grads was like, well, our presses are not big enough. So I'm going to go to the community press and I'm going to work over there. It was pretty awesome. And they did some collaborative things in the community. And I would say, of course, when we had as Southern Graphics Conference was coming to Rhode Island, we made sure that we were connected with the conference so that they were able to come in to RISD, and RISD students benefited. It was amazing. So we try to think about all these connections. How can we get so it's not just printmaking at RISD. We look at fairs. We're talking about possibly being a part of the Brooklyn one in the future. And a lot of those fairs are invite only, but we're like, how do we get out? And it's something that we're constantly making sure is happening. And I don't know if you guys could speak on it more, but that's something that as faculty, we're like, all right, we gotta go here. We gotta get out, and we gotta bring people in. So, and also bringing visiting artists in too.
Yeah, and the first years did a visit to New York City earlier this semester and spent a day on the Columbia campus. And we did kind of a studio exchange day with the Columbia Print MFA students. And they're planning to come visit the RISD campus and do studio visits here. And so that was a great way to meet. I hope we do it again. It was a great way to meet other printmaking MFA students and hear about their journeys and see what they're working on. So I have felt like it's been nice to connect with other printmakers outside of RISD.
Yeah. And this question is, I was also curious about if there is advisors available to students to help students to students, or some sort of mentorship program to help develop your thesis? Ooh, great question. So, as their GPD, so I am the graduate program director. I am naturally everyone's mentor, whether you like it or not. But also, we do have amazing colleagues, and we all work together to get you where you need to go. It's no one-stop shop. We're all working together. And so we treat everybody like you're very unique. What do you uniquely need that this person maybe the last person didn't need it, but you need it. So we're gonna meet your needs where you are, right? So but we are, and also the thesis, it sounds terrifying, possibly. The great thing is we embed it in a way that you have a separate course that's for your writing. We have an amazing colleague that we bring in, and she helps you with that part. We're focused on the course that I was talking about, the one you have to take every semester with, and it's co-taught between me and maybe Andrew, or maybe Andrew and Meg, maybe Meg. So we all the full-time faculty co-teach that course, because we have it's cross-listed. You have the second years who are working on their thesis, and you have the first years who just got here. So we have to hit those points at all, it's like a 360. And so because you have separate courses, you have space and time to think about the written part, and you have space and time to think about the visual part. And then our goal is to like bring it all together, right? And so that's what we're working on. And then someone said, all right, as our first year classes more studio or lecture style? Well, according to the track, every semester you should take and are required to take a seminar. I think what happens is we are studio focused at the end of the day. It is studio, but seminar courses are super important to your practice. It's important. It's important to sit down and contextualize what you're doing and why you're doing it. And so I think what happens is sometimes people try to avoid them like the plague, and they always come back. And I'm like, see, do it early. So how would you guys think about that? Like, I would say, and then when a course says studio, it's studio, right? The grad course is a studio course. However, we do give the tiniest amount of reading, maybe like an article, and then we sit at a table for 2 hours. The courses are 5.5 hours, and then we talk about it, because it's so good to come together. It's so good. And then everybody goes off, and then we have studio visits. So I think it's a great balance, and we don't do that every course. We just do it 3 times out of the semester. But if you guys could jump in if you wanted to.
Yeah, I can jump in. I would agree with that. I think that yeah, a lot of times I've heard that sometimes kind of get pushed because you're at RISD, you want to take so many studio classes and kind of attain these skills. But I would say that my experience taking seminars has been really beneficial for my own personal practice. I think, like Tyanna said, I think it's really important to be able to not just create, but articulate why you're creating something, and what you're creating, and the choices that you're making, and kind of to situate yourself in a greater context, right? In a greater conversation with other artists and other works that have been created. And the seminar classes that I've taken have been really helpful in kind of helping me develop that kind of way of thinking and thinking about how I really want to present myself as an artist as well too. And so I've taken a couple of seminars based on teaching, based on design theory, and also a couple of science seminars and art history seminars. And I think that those classes have been really beneficial for kind of also, developing my own practice and inspiring me in other ways as well too. But I'd love to hear Ava's perspective as well too.
I just changed my schedule for winter session to be a studio to a seminar because I agree it's really important for your practice. And I really liked the moments in this first semester where, as a whole cohort, first and second years, we take the time to do a reading and have a discussion and think about the historical context. I feel like it really enhances my position in the world as a printmaker. So I think they're a great strength.
For sure. Another great question, is the program more theory based? I'm like, more. I would say we don't do without theory. Let's just say that you're not coming in and we're pushing and throwing theory down anyone's throat. However, when it comes to critiques, when it comes to having to actually sit down together and look at each other's work, that's when you'll notice more of the theoretical conversations might come up. And it just depends on the artist. Some artists, their work is theory driven, and we had she just graduated and her work was all about theory, and she really pushed that, and it really pushed any of us. Like, it pushes the faculty, it pushed our colleagues. We all, like, she was giving us homework. I'm like, give us homework. So if there's something you are more of and you're like, oh, you guys are not, like, okay, well, give us all homework. Where do we need to do to get where you want us to go? And that's, I think, the beauty of being so diverse, and we're all coming from different places, that we all don't know everybody's stuff. So it's good to do it that way. And I know we have a few minutes left, right? We're
Yeah,
gonna
we just have a few minutes. Because I work in the admissions office, I have a few questions maybe you could answer that I don't think were touched on yet. Could you
Great.
talk a little bit about like what you're looking for in a portfolio for an applicant, and maybe some of the pitfalls or misconceptions applicants should avoid in their statement of purpose?
Oh, great, thank you. I would say basic things we're looking for, of course, is we're looking at your portfolio for the most part, and it's not just me. It'll be my colleagues and I, so all the full-time faculty and our amazing technologist Johnny. We all get together and we look at the portfolio, and we're looking for number one, your interest in printmaking, like specifically, like what about printmaking that you are like, that excites you, that you're like working with images, working with just reproducible, blah blah blah. So like whatever, it has to kind of beckon back to the contextualization of printmaking, and what is it beyond just this ink on paper. So I do think it's helpful to really put the why. Why do you want this in your letter? And also, I'm fine with letters being personal. Like, people were like, how personal? And I'm like, if it really matters to your practice, like, I stumbled upon printmaking because of blah, 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 that's fine. And I think just getting to know you as a human is really important. So you don't have to feel like a robot and be calculated and like, I have to say the right things. Just be you. And I think also, and it's okay to be honest with where you are in your practice. It's all about where you want to go. This is a program where if you had it all together, you wouldn't be applying. You want something from this experience, and our goal is to be very mindful and open to the uniqueness that is coming in our direction. And also thinking about what is it that you want, and are we the best fit for you? We may not be the best fit for you. I'm like, oh, maybe but I like to think we are for everyone. And so we just have to figure out space and how we get. So, and the other question you had was about the letter, right? Um,
Just I mean, I think you kind of addressed it, but just any common misconceptions or pitfalls that you see maybe in a statement where you're like, maybe you should avoid this.
actually haven't I haven't
Hmm.
looked at anything and any statements that I felt that people should avoid. I think if anything, their portfolio didn't match what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So maybe the portfolio looks more like it doesn't fit the printmaking conversation. So you
Mhm.
have to bring everything to an alignment. So if you're doing multimedia work, that's fine, but think about the narrative you want to share with us, the printmaking people who are, but do know that we're not obsessed with tradition either. So you don't need to, so I never want to tell people we don't apply. It's like, no, apply with what you have, but I want you to put it together in a way that tells the unique story of who you are and where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
And so that's it. I'd rather you do that. And also, if you have, it's 10 to 20 images, right? As far as the portfolio. If you have 10 pieces, that's fine. You do not need to fill up the rest of it with stuff you're not excited about or you don't want us to see just because you want to fill the space. 10 pieces, is that the minimum? And you're like, that's what I got? That's what you got. No one's looking like, well, where's more? We're like, this is what you have. We're going to focus on that. And also make sure there's an area that you'll have to add maybe there's something that we're seeing that we don't know what you did. If it's like mixed media, it is good to put on the side, like, this is what this is. Like, talk to us like we have never done this before by saying, this is what's in this. Because looking at a screen doesn't do justice work. It just never does. So you really want to over explain if you have to. And I love those and I read them. I'm like, okay, that's what they did. Wow, that's interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, I always say quality over quantity for sure. Yeah. There's one more question in the Q&A box. I think we can
Oh
answer
yeah.
this one and then we'll have to wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah, how has AI affected the program? Do you use it as a tool?
You know what's funny? Excellent question. I think I'm the most AI using person in this whole building, if not the school. So I like it more than most people. And my students are like, I just think it hasn't really launched in a way that I think people thought it would in an art school because everything's so hands-on that the idea of like taking a break from that to do that is like there people are not necessarily doing that. I use it more than anybody. I'm like, let's use AI. And everybody's like, we're good. So it really hasn't, but we're open to it. Just if like there, I'm all about it being a tool. It's here. If you come in like I want to use AI in this way, and I think at the end of the day, because this is a maker school. At the end of the day, we're a maker. Printmaking is so, but we have students using the laser cutter to do stuff, and we're not opposed. I feel like why let's challenge all these systems. Let's do it. So if you have something that you're like, I don't know if this fits, but I'm gonna just shoot my shot, shoot your shot, and maybe you'll be teaching us something. Oh, someone held a great question in here too. How many applications do you typically receive? I would say because I think printmaking is such a niche field, right? It takes a very special human being to say, I'm gonna go into printmaking. We get about like what 40, somewhere around there, but we only can accept 7 to 8. And eight's pushing it. And we do that because of space. It's not about, it's just, if RISD was bigger and we just had unlimited space, we'd be like, okay, we can do 30 people. You know what I mean? But so we have 14 as a strong cohort. I'm like, I could push it to one more, but we'll have to see how space is looking.
All right. That's our time. I put Tiana's email again in the chat. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to email her. And if you have any admission specific questions, feel free to email admissions@risd.edu. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to all our panelists, and
Yeah.
hope you have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.